What's new with you, Jess?
What's not new? That's the question.
Ooh, lots of
Everything.
new stuff, huh?
Well, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but this weekend is the Ragnar Run. And Ragnar is a 200-ish mile relay race starting from Minneapolis and ending in Duluth. And each person has approximately, I don't know, 15 to 20 miles. 3 different times they run over a 36-hour period. And guess how often I have trained over the last 3 to 5 months. Like
Adequately.
total. Guess
Adequately.
total. Oh, not even adequately. No, I want you to guess total how many times
Well, I think last time we chatted it was 0 or 1. It was one of those. So I'm going to go with like 2.
I'm going to say 8.
Oh, nice. That's a lot of work you put in the last few weeks, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
How are you feeling about it then?
No, not good. I can run 2 miles and I have 15 to go.
15 in one leg or 15 total?
Total. So, yeah, it is going to be scary. So here's what I was talking to a lot of my fellow runners about. Post-COVID has really, I think, impacted me, and my fellow runners can agree with me. Like sitting in the chair, because we have like an office job, like our hips, and from a woman's perspective, our hips change. So like it's more like tilted, and our muscle mass, like we haven't worked out. It's not like I'm going to the gym every week or even once a month. And so like your muscles have deteriorated. Now I'm 42 years old. So now I wake up and I hurt my neck. Like I move wrong and my knee hurts. Or like I roll over and my shoulder starts hurting. It's like I'm old, I am unhealthy, and then COVID, like just like the lung capacity has altered, my breathing. It's just everything has changed. So from my age to my health, unfortunately, my health has gotten worse. Fucking sucks.
And you've had COVID twice that you know of?
No, only once that I
Only
know
once. Okay.
Yep.
But you've had a lot of upper respiratory infections the
of
last
this
year
year.
at least, yeah.
Yeah, I remember like October through like April, there was like a 6-month period where I was sick like every 6 weeks.
Yeah. It's all the normal stuff because all the kids went back to school and everything.
Everyone's immune system was down, so you're like building your immune system back up, and yeah, it was totally normal, but it impacted my health totally.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's new. And then I'm captain of the Ragnar team now too, so that's new. And so the added stress or anxiety that I put onto myself to be captain is like, I need to make sure I communicate everything. I need to make sure timing. I need to make sure that the vans are picked up and work and put everything in the van. So I need to make sure like all the food is in the vans, and I need to make sure everybody's like signing up for things and like filling out their waiver form, and like there's just a lot of extra stress and anxiety just to make sure this goes well as the captain. So that's anxiety.
So this is it all day Friday or is it Friday night?
All day Friday. So we start 6 a.m. on Friday morning and we end 6 p.m. Saturday.
So you get 6 p.m. I was just gonna ask. So do you get Saturday and Sunday to recover? And it sounds like no.
Sunday. We get Sunday to recover.
Is that enough time?
No. And again, this year is going to be worse. Like all the other years, I needed Sunday to just chill, do nothing.
Yep, recover.
Yes, like use the foam rollers and like use the muscle guns, and that's what Sunday's for. But yeah, now that I have to drive the van too because the van is in my name, I'm the one who has to take the van back to the rental place Saturday night, so I'm not gonna get home till like 11 or 12.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take Monday off?
Yes, but I can't.
You can't. I can move the meeting I set up to something else.
No, I have like an 8 a.m. on Monday morning to onboard someone.
Gross.
I know.
8 a.m.
Who fucking does that? I sound spoiled. Don't you remember 8 a.m. meetings were totally normal?
Yeah, it's just like things have just changed. That's just all there is to it. Like, yeah. It's like meetings on Friday, 8 a.m. meetings on Fridays, or meetings late. Like, that's not a thing anymore for the most part.
No.
Good, I say.
I agree, but now I sound spoiled or entitled when I say, I don't want to work at 8 a.m.
Well, I think it's like, I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's spoiled or entitled either.
I talk about it with my boyfriend, and he pretty much is like, yeah, you're lucky. You are totally entitled. He's a tradesman. He's a craftsman. So he's up at 7 and in people's houses by 8 to like tile their countertops or like their bathrooms. Like, and then he works until 6 or 7,
Sure.
So like he's like hard labor on his knees, like working his ass off, comes home sweaty and just like gross and disgusting, and I'm complaining about it. 8 a.m. meeting that I just need to roll out of my bed, walk 5 feet to my office, sit on my ass, and
I mean, it'd be different if like everybody else was doing stuff at 6 o'clock in the morning, like in our space, and there was like people needed you to deliver things. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, just because I'm not a super fan. Like, exertion doesn't necessarily equal harder as far as work goes. I'm sure they're every day or almost you're just completely exhausted, after your last meeting or something, and your brain's just completely fried on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Friday, you're like doing meetings or staring at your computer to will the work to get done, right?
Yep. Yeah. Do you remember though, early in your career, working your ass off, like working the 60-hour weeks? Did you ever do that?
No, not 60-hour weeks. I've never been a fan of that. I have certainly made compromises at specific times for things, and
for like releases or like big launches.
Yeah, and I don't do that anymore. Like the last place I was at, it's, I mean, especially as like a contractor, it's tough when you go to a place and you have plans to do things already. And then like at this particular place, it was like, because of COVID, everybody had all this vacation time, and I was like, yeah, we're going to take, a good chunk of time between Thanksgiving and Christmas off, or Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Yeah.
And then this particular place, they had a big cutover or release that they were trying to do, and they basically canceled the holidays for the entire company. And
I remember that.
As a contractor, it's like we're a little bit outside that because we're not full-time employees. So the full-time employees, they're like, you can't take vacation, you got to cancel all your plans, and it's like, well, that's not really how this works.
At least not for our organization.
Yeah, and so then the person that we worked with, they're like, I think we need you to be here, and I'm like, okay, only because I'm cool rolling all this PTO over to the next year. But then like I will never do that ever again.
Yeah.
Ever. So like that happens where I do something and then if I don't like it, I won't ever do it again. Like I've been fortunate. I've only worked one overnight release my entire career, which is like
Seriously?
Pretty much unheard of.
Oh my God. That is unheard of.
Yeah, it was one time and it was a blast. But
they are fun. They're awesome.
I was sick the next day and I couldn't go, like I couldn't work from home or anything. And I'm like, I'm never ever, no way, never doing it again. Don't care.
Those overnight releases though helped me with motherhood. So early in my career, I worked 60-hour weeks. I got migraines all of a sudden. I worked overnights, and it prepared me for motherhood. And then when motherhood came, the up all-nighters with kids and being a full-time working mom, that then prepared me for the chaos that I'm in now, which is being able to juggle so many things. Like, it is ridiculous how many initiatives and just things.
What's your number? How many do you know how many things like you start to kind of lose it or have to change tactics to keep it all straight? Like, I know I can run about 5 significant projects at one time without having to take notes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Once I hit like, 5 to 6, then I need to start writing stuff down to keep things straight. And then at that point, it's like you literally have no time to actually do any work. You're just in meetings all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I'm not in the running projects anymore. Right now, I'm in like the oversight of the projects. And so right now I can manage up to 10. I'm at 8 right now. 2 more is coming down the pipe. And I'm at capacity right now. So I know I have to cap it at 10, but knowing me, I won't cap it at 10. And I need to do what's right for us, for our company. I need to do what's right for the customer, and I need to do what's right for the consultant. And so I will take that on myself and do what's right.
Oh, there was one piece that was missing there, and that's what is right for Jess.
For me.
You didn't even mention that at all.
I'm so mad at myself. Thank you for pointing that out.
Like, all those other dudes, they'll be okay. Like, it'll work itself out.
Oh my god. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. I just did, like, that makes me really sad that I did not say that.
It happens. I think that's like your trademark or something. That's how you roll. It seems like a lot of the time. Yeah. Do you get when you're not like overloaded? Are you bored and you don't know what to do?
Mm-hmm. I'm not motivated.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. During COVID, it was hard to stay busy because our industry, there was like a lull, and just things happened to where there was not as much to oversee and manage. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself at all. I was a lost puppy.
Did you get to a point where you did you see like something different? Like, oh, this is how things could be, or like, did you start to change to adjust to it and feel a little bit better?
Well, that's why I'm in the role that I'm in.
Because you couldn't handle it.
Because I was like, well, I see this happening over here. Let me do that. And I see the big need for this. And so then I just started doing it more and more and more. And then I'm like, well, let's create this as a role.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when I'm bored, I have visions and I'm able to like implement on those visions. But like last week, it was the weirdest thing. I was super busy, extremely stressed out. And guess what I decided to do? Sell shit on Marketplace. Let's add 3 more things to my plate of selling shit on Marketplace, because now you need to communicate with people and you need to clarify, and then you need to schedule times for people to pick it up. And it's like, what? Yeah, I think we talked about this last week.
Well, I mean, I have definitely talked about this specific type of thing with people. A lot of the people that I associate with, like a lot of my friends, we're similar. It's like we all have this high drive, and I saw this really funny video where it's like this lady, she's sitting there and she's like, well, I finished all the tasks my boss gave me that they thought a normal person would accomplish in 8 hours in like 2 hours. So what am I going to do? And her brain's like, her brain's like, what are you gonna do? And she's like, go ask for more work. And her brain's like, no.
No.
And basically goes into like, this is like a trauma response, essentially. This is not okay.
Yep, I know. Not everything. A lot of things that people do are trauma responses.
Yeah.
I get it. I have my therapy session on Monday. I'm gonna talk about all the trauma. every other week, I talk about my trauma.
I think that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Are there times where you don't package it back up in like a bow, like a nice little box at the end of the session, and it like spills over into regular life? Because it's rough to open up. So I guess for anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about, so when you go to therapy, like you have to talk about all the trauma and you have to open all that up. And if you have something like PTSD, like you could be triggered. I mean, so all that will come back, and like the therapist's job at the end is to put it all back in a box so that you're not impacted by it after the therapy session.
Yep, that is a true statement. In the beginning, I've been doing this for 4 years now. In the beginning, I had so much trauma that it would spill. It took about eight to 9 months for me to actually calm my nervous system and know how to calm my nervous system. Now I am a master at being able to open up these doors of the past, address them, and then create a new pathway. It's just that new pathway needs to be practiced. You know, like those muscles need to get built on that new pathway. And so that's what spills over then is, what does that new pathway look like? And so like one of the things that she had me do, which I realized I didn't do any of it. Thanks for reminding me. One of the things she asked me to do over the last 2 weeks is do a meditation where you're feeling your senses. And so you take an object, any object, and you rub it on your hands, and you feel on your hand where it feels good. And then you feel where it doesn't feel good, and then you focus on that, and then you think about the why, and then you switch to the other hand. And it's just a way to like really pay attention to the yeses, because we're talking about how to say no and how to say yes. And so knowing what yes feels like from a sense perspective is what she wants me to work on. So yeah, I haven't done it.
That's all right. You've been busy.
Yeah. But it makes sense that I should. So, speaking of the past, I don't know how I found this. I found an old paper that I wrote when I was going to college. And the paper was about a company and what makes this company great. And I talked about there's 3 things that makes a company great: their leadership, their training, and gosh, what else did I say? Leadership, training, something else. I can't remember. I just barely skimmed the paper that I wrote 20 years ago. I wrote this paper, and I was like kind of skimming through it, and there was a section about leadership, and there was a grid that I created that had a management on one side and leadership on the other side, and it talked about like how management equals punishment, leadership equals rewards, management equals control, leadership equals change. And like I was doing a comparison between the two. And then I talked about like how when a leader is faced with tasks or goals, they must motivate their employees to complete the task in a timely manner with enthusiasm and devotion. Leaders must motivate by customizing their tactics to the culture of the environment. Different types of motivations may be considered, such as well pay, flex time, bonuses, profit sharing, stretch goals, friendly competition, and many more tactics. Like, I am writing this 20 years ago, and I am reading and skimming this paper, and I'm like, holy shit! Like I still have these beliefs and I still have these values, and it's so funny how like my college worked. It did its job. It educated me on like what it takes to be in a business setting or run a business or be at a corporation or be that leader that I've always wanted to be. And I was kind of proud of myself. I'm like, holy shit, 20 years ago.
Did you go to like a university?
I went to the U of M for 2 years and then I graduated from St. Thomas.
Okay. Yeah, because it's, I mean, I'm a big fan of like the technical colleges. I mean, they teach a lot of trades, but it's like the whole premise of them is that you take the skills that you're learning in school and you apply them to your job right away, right? So
Yep.
one of the big criticisms of like universities or larger schools is they teach you to think great thoughts, and I think it really depends on kind of the degree and what you want to do with that, right? You know, it's if you're gonna go to school, the thing that kills me or that's funny to me is like the number of odd degrees that we see like in our field.
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite one of all time is this guy had a PhD. He kept talking about how he had a PhD. He just loved to remind everybody that he had a PhD. But it was in music.
In music, yeah.
He was a project manager.
Yeah. But he has a PhD.
He wasn't very good.
We didn't hire him, did we?
No, this was at a client. He was he was a contractor as well that got brought in. It was just, oh my gosh, that dude was a trip. It was hilarious to watch that guy go down in flames.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting the types of degrees. Like my favorite one is being a chef. You know, we've had someone who came from culinary background and went into project management.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I interviewed that guy.
He's awesome.
I can't remember his name, but yeah, I remember talking to him. Because didn't he also have like a side photography hobby or something like that going on as well?
Yeah, and biking.
Yeah.
Yes, he's awesome. He was amazing. But yeah, did not come from a background of business or
yeah.
But he can multitask like a motherfucker. And he's really good at working with people. But yeah, it's fun. So, you know, reading that today and looking at it and reminiscing about, you know, college and what I actually learned. I was going to ask, like, did you ever feel like your education helped you to where you are today?
Oh yeah. Mine was, I used everything that I was doing in school. I was at a company at the time, and I was in a leadership role, but I wasn't like in an office setting. And I took everything that I learned, even like the PowerPoint skills, the Excel skills, programming, everything that I was learning in school, and I applied it to what I was doing.
Nice.
So I could practice it and get used to doing it. So, and it's, I mean, yes, it's very interesting to me how little like a lot of the foundational things have changed over the last 15 years. And I mean, they were taught before that. A lot of this stuff, you know, research has been done in the 60s and the 70s. Like this is not new stuff.
No, not at all.
Some of it's starting to come back, which is really awesome.
The pendulum always swings back. Always.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, and it's like the degree didn't necessarily tell me how to do everything. Like you still have to think critically. You know, you maybe get taught the skills, but you need to be able to apply them and, you know, refine them. And so I used to say like it gave me answers to questions in an interview to get my first one and then my first job. But then my education was so broad that there are just so many tools available to me that I was taught. So
Same. Do you expect your kids to go to college?
Not expect. the cost of school is outrageous, even for like the technical schools and the community schools. And it really depends on what they want to do. So I think, like, if you want to do something that requires specific knowledge, for sure go to school for that, because you're not going to get it anywhere else. If you want to do something that you can get the information for online and learn as you go, or online in some other way, then you don't have to if you don't want to. College is good for, I'm kind of on the fence about doing generals. College is a really great place to practice critical thinking and problem solving.
Yeah. And independence, like working independently and then also working in groups.
Yeah, especially if you go like to a school where you meet once a week rather than every day. Like, and it's, very different than like your traditional kind of K through 12 experience.
Yep.
It's hilarious though, because I think back to my time at school, and it's like, when I graduated, there was a cohort of us. There were like 30 of us that started. 4 of us graduated.
Seriously?
Yeah, well, because I think there were only 4 of us that like, I went pretty ham on it, and like I graduated before everybody else, but I had to go take summer classes in order to make that happen. Which, here's the thing people don't think about when you think about summer classes: it's half as long as a regular term, so your workload is twice as much. So if you take the same amount of classes, if you're going full time and you take, I think it's 16 credits or whatever, if you take 16 credits in the summer, that's the equivalent of 32.
Yeah.
That's the amount of work that you're doing, which I may or may not have done multiple times.
I feel like summer classes, though, are more laid back and lenient. Like, I remember the summer teachers or professors like, yeah, it's fine. If you want to get this report done at this time, no big deal. Like, I got a C in Spanish my first year, and then I got a B in Spanish the second semester because I took it in the summer. No, I took it in the summer, and then I got an A in Spanish the third time because I took it in J term, which was like a 4-week one.
Yeah.
But I got an A. Like, the harder Spanish, I got an A because it was so short and so lenient, and it was very much group oriented.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It seems like the shorter ones are more laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Did you feel that way too?
No. I did not feel like they were more laid back. It was a lot more work.
Maybe I was just more drunk in the summer and I didn't care.
Maybe I was working full time too, and we had a kid at that point, and it was hilarious to me too, because I was like a supervisor, and it was really funny. We had like these kids working for us that were like in high school, and they're like, I got school. I'm like, I do too, man. I'm like, I'm going to school full time and I work full time. Like, cry me a river.
Yeah, I don't care. Work.
Like, you don't want to be full time anymore. Cool. And I'll schedule you like part time and stuff, but like, sorry.
And I'm going to school, I'm working full time, and I have a kid.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but so I ran across a lot of students, and it was actually really funny to see just how like a lot of students kind of carried themselves, and like, that's one of the things I'll never forget is like I took something different away from all my classes than a lot of other students did, just because I don't know, I was wanting to learn, or I don't know, but that's one thing I've realized is like you can create the best curriculum in the world, but if the student doesn't want to learn it, they're not necessarily going to take away from it what you want them to take away from it. And this is more college. K through 12 I have no experience with, and I think that that's a different animal because they're younger, but when you're dealing with adults, and technically adults, kids like right out of high school, technically adults,
yeah, not adults.
it's a little bit different.
I feel like the world should, and I don't know if other countries do this, but us here in the US consider 18-year-olds as adults. I don't know if that's true in like China or India or Australia. I don't know. But the time where a person's brain is fully developed is at 24. That's when I feel people should be considered adults.
Yeah, isn't
And
it like between 24 and 27? I've heard
yeah. Oh,
26.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, and it's
Not
obviously
18.
changes for no one's the exact same. So I could have my maturity at 27, you could have had yours at 24. But like 18, you are not considered an adult. You still do not have the full brain function to make appropriate decisions, which is
Right.
why I believe when kids go to college, they lose their shit and go crazy and party and, you know, just do whatever they want. They found freedom.
Yeah, I mean, especially, I'm assuming the way that we may have grown up with the baby boomers who are a little, you know, a little bit more controlling, I suppose. Like, that was one of the things, like, and I've talked to my dad about it too. And so, like, I didn't necessarily think that they were super strict when I was growing up, but, like, when I went out to school, I'm like, oh, you guys are, like, strict.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this wasn't like, you know, like, I need therapy, like, strict, like insanity or anything like that, but it was just like, yeah, you guys were way stricter than a lot of my friends.
For sure.
Just people in general.
When I parent Reese and Brooke, they tell me I'm a strict mom, and they're like, I'm the most strict mom out of all their friends. And I'm like, I am not strict. Well, you know, I'm dating my boyfriend right now, and I see his parenting style, and when I hang out with his kids, I'm way more strict. And I'm like, put your dishes away, don't eat on the couch, eat on the table, don't bring things into the couch, like in the living room. I am like very much strict, and he's not. He's just more laid back. And I'm like, oh wow, the girls are right, I'm way more strict. So I get being strict, unfortunately.
Yeah. Was your mom strict with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And she was more. So like when I say I'm not, it's because I was raised by my mom. And so then when my girls grow up and they're like this to their kids, they're gonna be like, I am not strict, and they're gonna realize that they are. That's how I raise them. And I don't find it a bad thing that I don't allow my kids to eat food in the living room. Eat it on the kitchen table. And I don't find it bad that I force my kids to take their plates and stuff and put it into the kitchen sink. I don't even ask them to put it in the dishwasher.
Right.
Just put it in the sink. You know, like that to me is not strict. My mom was strict. She was like, you need to wash the plate before you put it into the cabinet, because we had no dishwasher. So wash the plate and then put it into the cabinet.
Yep.
And then like bedtime and brushing your teeth and homework. Yeah.
Well, that's all. I think that's all normal stuff, right? Because bedtime it's like every kid has forgotten that it's time to go to bed every single night. Like, it's like, what are you talking about?
But
You know, and then homework. Yeah, I'm actually not a fan of homework, and I like our district basically kind of stopped homework for the pandemic. And I mean, we'll see how this year is. I mean, because we're still in the pandemic, but yeah, I've never really been a fan of homework. I had homework growing up. It wasn't as much, I don't think, as the kids, but just the idea that like you go to a place and then you got to come home and do work. Like, no, if like you just do it all at the place, like, and do the work there and give me enough work to do there, not have to bring it home and do it at home too. That's ridiculous.
That's kind of how you feel about work.
Yeah. Well, it's, yeah, exactly, to the point where I had to separate like my personal computer space and my work computer space, because it's like just that little, even like not sitting in the same chair, which I did for 2 years, and in the same space, like I just got to a point where I needed the actual physical separation.
How has that mentally helped you?
It was like way better than it was a bigger impact than I thought it was going to be. which is like, so even like if I need to take a little break, because right now I don't have a standing desk for my work, which I'll be getting one soon, but so even when I'm like, I need to stand for a little bit, and like I just get up and like move the like 10 feet over and stand it, like just put my like personal desk up and just stand at it for a little bit, and like 10 minutes or something is, yeah, I'm surprised at how big of an impact it is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that. And I have a big enough space to have 2 spaces, but I don't do enough personally that requires me to have my own. Like, you game, you know, you edit personally, like these videos, or like you edit these podcasts. Like, I don't have much personal stuff on a computer. All my personal stuff is like volleyball, darts, and that's what I do.
As long as, I mean, really, it's just like a separate space. So if you don't spend any extra time in like your office when you're not working, then it's fine.
No, this is the only time I spend in my office outside of work.
Yeah, and that's like, this was not the only time I was spending down here. So
yeah, that makes sense. They also say that I don't know, ever since we talked last week about like ADHD and like things that you can watch on TikTok to like learn a little bit more about it, I started following people, and they're saying that to motivate people, you put shoes on in your house, and the fact that you have shoes on gives you that extra energy to get shit done. And I'm like, oh, that's super interesting. And so I haven't tried it because I don't want to be motivated.
I wear shoes for work every day. It's like,
do you?
Yeah. Just because like that was like that was a thing, like having to get up and kind of get dressed, and so like it's different now. There isn't really a dress code or anything, which is I love, because the first place I went to after I graduated, there was no dress code, and so flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt, that was my jam, like in the summertime. No big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like shoes are more comfortable for me to wear, and wearing like moccasins or something. What's the word that I'm trying to think of for that type of shoe? I don't know. I say moccasins because like I get them from Minnetonka Moccasin.
Yeah, Minnetonka yeah. I have some slippers.
Yeah, I slipper, something like that. So yeah. I don't particularly care for that, like during the work day, or just like all day long or anything like that. I didn't like the way that felt. So yeah, so I have shoes that I wear inside and shoes that I wear outside. So like they're cool. Not the same. I did not know that.
That's super cool though. Yeah, I've been totally slacking on the actually getting ready for work. I don't know if you've noticed my video is off sometimes. That's because I didn't get ready for the day.
That's totally fine. I don't have a problem with that. Like, because there's I think like today I was in a meeting and I just had my camera off just because like I was eating and stuff, like, but like as far as I know, nobody that I've worked with, like, it's not a thing. I've never been at a place where they're like, you have to have your camera on. I know the last place I was at for the other side of the organization, they did have to say that because nobody was doing it, but that stuff doesn't bother me. It is what it is.
Because I'm meeting with customers, I have to have that face-to-face. If I'm meeting a brand new customer, I have to have the camera on. But like with the project that we're on, I know them enough now to where I don't care. I can look like this.
They're all cool too, because they have a culture where it's on for the most part too. Yeah. And it's like when someone does have it off for the day, it's like it's not a thing.
No, yeah, exactly. But I also don't like it when everyone has it on and the one person does not have and never has it on. And they don't participate. They're not even listening. There was one time just recently that I called someone out. They were the only one with their camera off, and we were going around the horn, like talking about like our thoughts on something. And I said, hey, so-and-so, what are your thoughts? Nothing. Silence. Either they were not paying attention or they didn't. I don't know what happened, but they were busted.
one of the things I got to do for school was like part of my capstone. I had to go shadow someone in like my field for like 2 days. So like I went to a place for like work for like 2 half days.
Oh, wow.
And I was in this meeting. This was at Prime Therapeutics. So it's like really complicated stuff. And we're in this meeting. Everyone's there except for one person had called in. So we're all sitting in this conference room and there's one person on the phone. And everybody's talking about all this stuff. I understand none of it because I don't know what any of these things mean because it's all their, organization specific systems and everything.
Mhm.
And so they get done talking and the person on the phone asks a question. And then the biggest smackdown I have ever seen. This lady who is like the project manager and program manager is like, what have you been doing for the last 10 minutes? This is literally what we were talking about. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's awesome. That's totally something I would do.
I'm like, it is serious business and business. Holy cow.
What have you been doing for the past 10 minutes?
Yeah. I'm like, now in retrospect, I'm like, this must have been a thing. And this probably wasn't the first time for this
Yeah,
person.
exactly. That's funny.